The beef state gets a boost from beef producers. Cattlemen enjoying some record prices, and that's important in a diversified state when crop producers are suffering from a downturn.
Pretty festive mood, I would say, right now. We've had really good times in cow-calf sector.
Straight ahead, we visit with leaders in the cattle industry and what the vibe is in cattle country. Plus, Nebraska Farm Bureau gathers and we talk issues like trade and tariffs. We'll also hear from young farmers. Some would love nothing more than to come back to the farm, but that means finding another source of income.
It's definitely making room for both me and my twin brother to come back home to farm.
And we'll visit with the outgoing president of the Nebraska Cattlemen. It's time to grow. Cattlemen help keep the state afloat while the overall farm economy remains soft. Thanks for joining us on NTV News. I'm Steve White. As cattlemen gather in Kearney, many bullish about where things stand.
Cattle industry is really good right now.
Cattlemen have reason to smile.
Pretty festive mood, I would say, right now. We've had really good times in cow-calf sector.
Calf prices are at an all-time high. Different sectors of the industry have had good runs, but this one is trickling down to the cow-calf producer. There's a lot of profit in those calves right now.
And it shows no signs of slowing down. Years of drought have brought the smallest American cattle herd in 70 years.
There's issues to address. The drought's been really, when are we going to rebuild the herd? A lot of questions there.
So while the supply of cattle is tight, people still want burgers and steak on the dinner table.
The quality's up, demand for our product is out of this world, so I think we're going to see a lot of positive things in 25.
In fact, analysts say while the total number of cattle heading to the packing plant has dropped off, total beef production has held steady as ranchers and feeders produce bigger animals.
The nice thing about with the improved genetics out there, we're finding is we feed some of these cattle bigger, we actually increase our upper two-thirds choice prime, our quality of our product really stands out.
And while producers like Craig Uden see challenges, he's bullish. Events like this see many young producers, and consumers want the beef they produce.
High quality, safe product that people want to eat.
Dick Pierce of Buffalo County moves into the president's role with the Nebraska Cattlemen organization, while Craig Uden, a past national president, gets his turn to be the Nebraska president. As Nebraska's largest farm organization gathers, farmers and ranchers do raise concerns they could be impacted more than almost anyone if there's a new trade war.
In agriculture, we're definitely in more of the downturn right now.
Commodity prices are low, inputs remain high, and Nebraska farmers like Lance Atwater depend on global market.
Trade is really critical to agriculture, definitely here in Nebraska. And one thing that we haven't really seen from the Biden administration was the work on trade.
Farm Bureau members tell us they're optimistic about a new Trump administration, but the president-elect's promise to levy new tariffs raises red flags.
When we started talking about tariffs across all of our products, tariffs against some of our really good trading partners like Mexico and Canada, I think we have to be careful.
Nebraska Farm Bureau President Mark McHarg chairs a national committee on trade.
The deal is we export about 30% of all of our products. We export $10 billion of the $30 billion we produce. So you start disrupting trade, it's going to have an outsized effect on Nebraska because so much of our product is going overseas.
McHarg says Trump's tariffs will be disruptive. Some economists put the impact in the billions. McHarg says American farmers need new trade deals.
There are a lot of countries there we are not trading with that we could be trading with if we can get some more free trade agreements.
The U.S. imports tons of fresh fruit and veggies as the nation now runs an agricultural trade deficit. But McHarg cautions tariffs send the wrong message.
When we start putting tariffs on everything, that would be signaling that, well, maybe we don't want to trade with you, and we don't want that signal.
As Farm Bureau members gather, they say they're optimistic about another Trump administration and hope his strategy pays off with new opportunities.
In order to get good deals made and to hopefully, as we look forward to try to get trade agreements made and make them fair, it is important that we make sure we have those fair trade agreements made.
Now to some other policy discussed by Farm Bureau. The demand for energy, a big topic. The ag sector can be a potential energy resource. Biofuels have played a crucial role in reducing the nation's dependence on foreign oil, and delegates adopted policy to support the production of sustainable aviation fuel in Nebraska. Farm Bureau also pushing for change to make government loans to young producers more flexible. Access to land and capital, as we know, are critical. Farm Bureau delegates also discussed lab-created protein, sometimes called fake meat. The organization says no state tax dollars should be used to purchase lab-produced protein, while also reaffirming their support that consumers should be able to decide what they buy with the understanding products will be clearly labeled. Folks at the Farm Bureau convention weighing in on the need to extend the Farm Bill.
Yeah, the Farm Bill is obviously important. It's not just important for farmers and ranchers, but really when it comes to our food supply and making sure not only can we grow the food, but also making sure those who need the food are able to get it. But we need the certainty that we can get a Farm Bill done and that it will end up and help not just farmers and ranchers, but rural Nebraska.
After years of lobbying by conservation groups, the monarch butterfly may receive federal protection. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has proposed listing monarch butterflies as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. Conservation groups say the familiar orange and black butterflies have declined by as much as 90% in recent decades. If the proposal is finalized, monarchs will gain a protected status, but will also lead to a recovery plan for habitat. The Center for Food Safety calls it a damning precedent as the group blames what it calls industrial agriculture for the use of pesticides that they blame for what environmentalists call an extinction crisis. Environmental groups call it a distress signal to take better care of the environment. Folks in agriculture watching closely. The National Corn Growers Association says it reflects the need for strong conservation while also balancing that with the need for flexibility when it comes to regulations. The proposal now kicks off a 90-day public comment period. Corn growers say it'll be important for farmers to weigh in. In a statement, corn growers say they look forward to providing input on how to protect monarchs without disrupting critical agricultural activities. 2 Nebraska poultry flocks test positive for highly pathogenic avian influenza. The Nebraska Department of Agriculture says it has been working with USDA APHIS, detecting 2 cases of HPAI. The 2 cases reported this week are the second and third found in the state this year. The first of these cases was a commercial turkey flock in Nemaha County. The second, a small backyard chicken flock in Dodge County. State veterinarian Dr. Roger Dudley says HPAI is highly contagious and is still circulating. And while the state has not had a case since February, many other states are experiencing the devastating effects. So it's important for poultry producers to continue to monitor their birds. They can be spread flock to flock, including by migratory birds. Folks in Phelps County plan a town hall meeting to discuss one of the largest projects ever proposed in Nebraska history. The public is invited to a community conversation with DG Fuels at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, December 17th in Holdridge. The proposed $5.5 billion plan has brought questions. The agenda includes comments from the woman leading the governor's bioeconomy initiative, plus the CEO of DG Fuels will also attend. The sustainable aviation fuel plant is expected to purchase 1 million tons of corn stover a year. Economic development officials say it's about boosting markets for farmers and revitalizing the job market. Egg producers can also register for one-on-one or small group meetings to learn about grower agreements. Later, we meet a young farmer honored for the way he has been advocating for agriculture. And up next, we talk one-on-one with the outgoing president of the Nebraska Cattlemen. We are visiting with Jerry Kenning, outgoing president of the Nebraska Cattlemen, involved in the cattle industry in southwest Nebraska for a number of years. And it must be, it probably humbles you a little bit to be president of an organization like this that's obviously so involved in an industry that means so much to this state.
Well, it does. The year's gone tremendously fast. Totally enjoyed it. Looking forward to life slowing down a little bit, yes. But yes, it's been a very important part of our operation and industry since I was a little kid, and my grandfather, I can remember helping him, and it's been a very integral part of our business.
Yeah, but this industry, it takes ongoing leadership to tackle the issues that come up and help deal with those policy things, because it's never ending. We deal with water issues and land issues and trade issues and labor issues and on and on and on.
Yeah, you know, we don't refuse. I can't think of one issue that we've ever refused to discuss and that we don't have policy on. If it's brought to the board, you know, we'll have heart-to-heart discussions, and both sides are represented, and we try to come out with the best policy we can. So it's, you know, all the way from nitrates in our water, land taxes, real estate, fake meat, whatever it is, we will tackle it.
And you have to stay on top of that. And do you find value in just being part of an organization that kind of gives producers a voice? Because isn't, you know, you're kind of running your own operation. It's easy just to get involved in the day-to-day side of my operation, but you have to be thinking big term of how this impacts our industry and kind of amplifying that voice.
You're exactly right, Steve. I had the luxury. I have a son and daughter, and their spouses are back in the operation that afforded me to be able to get away. And I've always enjoyed policy. I've always enjoyed that discussion on whatever topic it's about. But yeah, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of people attacking our industry that we need to kind of keep them at bay.
Yeah. Looking big picture, though, at the cattle industry, you have to kind of pinch yourself that while on the crop side, those guys are going through some hard times right now. Thank goodness as a state we're diversified, because the cattle industry is probably what's kind of keeping us afloat right now.
Well, we're very fortunate. Who would ever think we'd have a 2 in front of our yearling price, $4 in front of a lot of calf prices? These bred cattle, what they're bringing, they're good times. You know, we all know that good times don't last forever. The cure for high prices is high prices, and we're subject. I'm not predicting doomsday by any means, but we're in good times right now. It's affording us a lot of opportunity.
And when you think about it, the American consumer still likes to put beef on their dinner table, and that carcass weight goes up, the quality goes up, so you continue to produce a safe, affordable product that people enjoy eating, and that's a good place to be at.
Well, it really is. We're very fortunate. We've got seed stock producers that are every day working hard to give us bulls and replacement heifers that have the genetics to produce this kind of meat, and we're very fortunate. The consumer keeps coming back. We have a product that tastes good, it's nutritional, and we're just very fortunate to be in the times we're in, and the technology is affording us some of these things, and we appreciate it.
Let's talk just a little bit about this organization, but how much do you appreciate the staff? Because you as an individual producer, while you can provide some leadership, you need those folks who are the boots on the ground who are doing this day in and day out to keep you informed, don't you?
You're so right. And you know, Laura Field and her staff they're just programmed to help the leadership succeed. They really are. I was told that when I came in by a couple past presidents, and absolutely right. They just work hard. I mean, I got some paper or some text this morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, and it's kind of like reminds me of our own operation, you know, Dad getting me up and going. But the staff is that way too. They are very, and they don't want the limelight. They're just very humble, and really do appreciate what they do. They're phenomenal.
Well, good. Well, anything else you want to mention?
No. Thank you to the other cattlemen of the state, across the state, and for allowing me to try to represent them, and I'm honored to be in this position, and I thank you for it.
More from the Farm Bureau convention still to come. Up next, our Grow Weather Outlook.
Well, this week's drop monitor that was released, and really not a whole lot of change as compared to last week's report. Get you an updated look here at the state of Kansas, where the no drought category now stands roughly a third of the state, 33 1/3% to be exact. About a 2% reduction compared to last week's report. Meanwhile, abnormally dry conditions, expecting 66 2/3 of that category to be there. Also a 2% reduction compared to last week. Otherwise, relatively similar conditions really for both Kansas and Nebraska the rest of the way. So 29% of Kansas in moderate drought. No severe, extreme, or exceptional drought across Kansas. Moving up to Nebraska, where conditions, unfortunately, still kind of the same. Of course, a little bit worse than Kansas. No drought now stands at roughly, well, same as last week, 6.14%. Abnormally dry, right around 94% of the state there. Moderate drought now stands, of course, same as last week, 83 3/4%. Severe drought still stuck at 44% of the state there. And extreme drought, about 8.31% to be exact. Looking at your temperature outlook for the rest of the month, looking at still slightly above average temperatures for really western and central parts of Nebraska and Kansas, with the eastern part of the state, or both states, shall we say, still expecting relatively average totals for temperatures. Otherwise, precipitation-wise, looking at relatively average totals there for really all of Nebraska and all of Kansas. And again, this remains unchanged from last week as well. The next 3 months, temperature-wise, looking at maybe a slightly below normal temperature there for the northernmost sliver of Nebraska. The rest of us looking at relatively average temperatures. Of course, likewise precipitation. Looking at average totals for Nebraska, almost all of Kansas, with the exception being slightly below normal totals for the southwest part of Kansas. Your Grow Almanac here for the week ahead. Normally see high right on 38. Normal low stands about 18. Again, we're close to those values for the next week. 41 the average high, 23 the average low. And here is your Grow week ahead. Again, kind of starting out the week on a mild note, which no complaints there. Temperatures in the 40s, even maybe some 50s across northern Kansas for Monday, possibly Tuesday. But again, we get colder here by Wednesday. But brief warm-up expected for Thursday before cooling things back down again on Friday. As far as precipitation goes, not a whole lot, maybe a couple of slim chances again, maybe tonight or early Monday morning. Also maybe another chance Tuesday night into Wednesday. A little more uncertainty towards the tail end of the week. So stay tuned to the forecast there throughout the week. Your Grow proverb for the week ahead. Of course, it is winter. That's the first day. It's fast approaching here. When the winter is not early, it will not be late. Some wise words there. We have certainly dealt with that so far, even in the late fall. Let's look at your Grow weather report. Stay tuned next week when once again it'll be time to grow.
And when Grow returns, we visit with young farmers, their challenges and opportunities. Stay with us. Number of farmers under the age of 35, but the fastest growing demographic in American agriculture is those over 65. Raised on the farm, Cody Miracle and his twin brother can't wait to return after college.
We love agriculture so much, it just makes the most sense to come home.
But the cost of land and equipment is too much for a 21-year-old who would need millions to get started.
The barrier to entry is insane. To having the family farm and the acres we have turn in from supporting 2 families to supporting 4 families, which is kind of a lot to wrap your head around.
The USDA Census of Agriculture shows the number of young farmers under 35 is on the rise, up 4%, and Nebraska is one of the leading states for young farmers. However, they're greatly outnumbered by farmers over 65, who account for about a third of all American producers. For Cody, he says he'll need income off the farm, which means either taking a job in town or starting a business, the option he plans to take with his brother.
Being able to help Dad and grow the family farm, as well as finding kind of a niche market for ourselves.
Grant Jones had a similar mindset.
When I come home from the university in 2014, I was really trying to rack my brain. What can I do that's a little different?
In his case, adding a shrimp farm to the family cattle operation.
I get coined the surf and turf guy, so.
Both Grant and Cody find support through Nebraska Farm Bureau, with programs aimed at college students and young farmers. They share their struggles and successes, and for Cody, it drives him to do what he loves.
And being young guys, I like to think it's the optimal time to bite off more than you can chew and then chew like hell. It's just one of those things where we're gonna come home and start working really hard to try and grow the farm, and then eventually have families and grow our families and grow our own thing, and just kind of go down this. We love agriculture so much, it just makes the most sense to come home and try and grow what we have, and it's just a great place to be in life.
And the young farmers you saw there, both receiving honors. Cody Miracle won Farm Bureau's Collegiate Discussion Meet, while Grant Jones takes the Young Farmers Achievement in Agriculture Award. Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Group is for members 18 to 35. It was certainly good catching up with a lot of familiar faces, both at Farm Bureau and Cattlemen conventions, and right now in the barns at Fauner Park for the AGR Winter Show. And that's going to bring this episode to a close. We'll see you back here again next time as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.